Blacking out, blacked out, blackout, blacked out.
Shut
I stream and play games on my other YouTube channel and Twitch, and I also have a Patreon that has more content on there.
Out of my son's grave!
I hate to rain on your parade, lady, but this is my grave. Hey, wait a minute. Mom?
Homer?
Today I'm going to be reacting to Critical Drinker, Crash and Burn, Amy Schumer, and Story.
Amy Schumer. If ever there was a celebrity destined for a crash and burn episode, it was her. Just a few years ago, she was one of the most popular female comedians of all time, with a string of successful stand-up tours, movie deals, Netflix specials, endorsements, fawning magazine articles, and all the apparatus of the Hollywood industrial complex behind her. A woman who was not only theoretically funny and a box office draw, but an outspoken feminist and activist who somehow managed to position herself behind every major trend and movement that looked to be gaining traction.
I don't know much about Amy. I just thought that she was a comedian, and I've seen jokes that people have made about her not being actually funny. But there's a lot of comedians that people make jokes about stealing other people's jokes or not actually just being funny themselves, being a bit, it's not crass, but like, they just have inappropriate's not the right word either. They just have vulgar or like raunchy humor and jokes.
Gaining traction. But it turns out that Amy Schumer's towering empire was built on a shaky foundation of stolen material, questionable talent, high-profile controversies, a massively inflated ego, box office flops, and extremely shit personal conducts. And eventually, it all came crashing down in the kind of slow-motion train wreck that was less a spectacular implosion and more like death by 1,000 cuts. So join me, your humble drinker, as we explore Crash and Burn, the Amy Schumer story.
Watching videos on like crash and burn of anybody or celebrities kind of has a guilty vibe to it. Like, I don't typically participate in celebrity drama or gossip of any kind, so it's like, oh, okay, gonna just learn and talk bad about someone. But I guess somebody who's so popular has come to light, like I guess Rachel Zegler, and others. It is a little interesting because I kind of live under a rock, and I don't really know much about people. So, okay, do you want on the desk?
Schumer was born in 1981 in New York's Upper East Side, the daughter of wealthy Jewish and Protestant parents. Her dad ran a successful furniture business, and the family enjoyed a pretty cushy life for much of Amy's childhoods. The good times weren't to last though. The business eventually went bankrupt when she was 9, and her parents divorced a couple of years later. Oh wow, another troubled celebrity whose parents divorced at a young age. Anyway, Amy soon discovered an interest in the performing arts and ended up studying theatre in college before eventually drifting into comedy. By the mid-2000s, she was a regular on the New York stand-up circuit, and in 2007, she made it to 4th place on the reality show Last Comic Standing, where she impressed the judges with her mixture of dark, raunchy humor and ironic self-reflection.
Yeah, it checks out that she was a theater kid. I would think that most comedians would probably have taken something like theater, because you need to speak in front of a bunch of people. I would think that theater is kind of something that would help get over that fear or get you in the routine of actually doing it. Because even if you're funny, there's another dynamic of having to perform. So, yeah, theater kid. Not really shocking. But I don't say that as a bad thing. I liked theater. Just checks out.
She was soon booking guest roles in shows like 30 Rock, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Girls, but Amy had her sights set on bigger things. Her 2012 comedy special, Mostly Sex Stuff, was what really put her on the map as a major player, and it basically set the tone for her entire sense of humour going forward. Crude, dark, self-deprecating, and weirdly obsessed with the workings of her own body. Oh my goodness, a female comedian whose entire act revolves around sex and dating. Whatever will they think of next?
No.
I mean, personally, watching an out-of-shape 30-something New Yorker spending 2 hours talking about what her vagina looks and smells like sounds about as funny as a cancer diagnosis, but each to their own, I guess.
Looks and smells? I think he was about to say comedy is subjective. Definitely. Don't want to be too harsh in saying that's not funny. Everyone has a different opinion. But one side is, I don't know if it's secondhand embarrassment or just slight disappointment. Not that serious, just slightly disappointed of how there is a stereotype that a lot of female comedians joke about the inner workings of their body as like the only go-to thing that they make jokes about. That's like the thing that they do. Or just kind of raunchy, very in-depth, detailed stuff about their dating or sex life in general. I think a lot of people have used self-deprecating humor and definitely have joked about male body parts as well. But I don't think that it's as stereotyped that men do it as often, and it's like the main or even only joke that they'll navigate to. Everyone's known for something, but it seems like there's a lot of different men who are known for a variety of different things, whereas it seems like women, since there's not as many comedians, seems like a lot of them are known for or referenced, oh, your dating life jokes and how bad the sex was, or something like that. Like, oh, there's nothing else.
Comedy truly is subjective, and somehow hers was working big time. Amy was soon being positioned as the next big thing, more edgy and daring than her contemporaries, willing to push boundaries and make fun of herself, and pretty soon she made the transition from guest star to movie star. 2015's Trainwreck, where she played a drunken, promiscuous party girl that was basically just a toned down version of herself, was well received by critics and went on to make $140 million at the box office against a $35 million budget. By now, Amy was riding high with a string of successful comedy shows, TV appearances, favourable news coverage, and a promising film career. What could possibly go wrong? Well, quite a lot as it turned out.
Before he gets into what exactly went wrong, don't even think that I realized that she was in movies. Maybe I've acknowledged it before, but I don't remember it at this very moment. So, interesting. Kind of makes me think of a Kevin Hart vibe, which I'm not trying to be mean to him, but it seems like his stand-up or comedy in a lot of ways is probably really enjoyable. He's just a very likable comedian, maybe for some people. But then his movies just kind of don't really portray that. Like, they're just always so not funny or good at all around. Like, the story's weird, and it's like, fine, it's supposed to be a comedy, the story's not supposed to be that deep. But then the writing's just, like, also weird and not really funny. So sometimes comedians just shine in other ways. They're not just funny all around. They're like, wow, you're really good at stand-up. That's your lane.
What could possibly go wrong? Well, quite a lot as it turned out. The warning signs were there as early as 2011 during the roast of Charlie Sheen, where she made a joke about the recent death of Ryan Dunn in front of his best friend Steve-O, and well, it didn't exactly go down like she hoped.
And I know you must have been thinking it could have been me, and I know we were all thinking, why wasn't it?
Jesus Christ, if even Steve-O doesn't see the funny side, you know you've up. But okay, fine, every comedian has an off day, I guess.
That is rough. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm not a comedian, but sometimes things will pop in my head, and it can be hard to filter out, wait, how will people receive this? Is this acceptable? Because there's dark humor and people act like they're all for it until there's that one thing that you just said maybe too soon. We're said at all. It's also about delivery. Again, not a comedian, but I've heard people try to say certain jokes like, oh, well, this one comedian makes this joke all the time. It's like, yeah, but how you said it makes you sound like you actually think that way. You know? Like, doesn't sound like a joke when you say it. You're just saying it's a joke. So there's a difference. Delivery is very important in how people receive it, because the whole point of comedy is if other people find you funny.
Her first real mistake was one that many celebrities have fallen victim to over the years. Politics. She'd always been outspoken about her political views, but during the 2016 presidential race, she really kicked it into high gear. At a show in Tampa, Florida, Amy decided to take a break from talking about her vagina, go on an extended rant about how much she hated the Orange Man and how everyone needed to vote for Hillary Clinton instead because she said so, prompting boos from the audience and causing hundreds of people to walk out.
It was just cool to hear one guy who doesn't seem like a psychopath, why he would want to vote for that orange assaulting fake college started.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I feel like it did not pay off for her, Cotton. Politics for anyone. Nearly. I mean, clearly the politicians and the people who base their like channels off of it. It's not off limits for anyone. But I think if you're a celebrity and you know, movie star, it can be kind of seen as a little weird to be so pushy on, well, this is what's right and this is what's wrong, because everybody deserves to have an opinion. But you're also an actress, or an actor, or a comedian, or a singer. So
I guess that means you need to shut the up. That's what I do if I had no army. I would shut up. Shut the
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Fuck hell, man. I'm not even a comedian, and even I understand how to read a room. Shit like that might have played well in New York or LA, but in a red state like Florida, it went down about as well as a stripper at a funeral. Not only had she waded into the middle of the most divisive election in living memory and alienated half her audience in the process, but the cracks were beginning to show in her comedy armor as well. People were beginning to notice that there wasn't a whole lot of variety in her comedy shows. Every one of them was just her talking about getting blackout drunk, sleeping with lots of guys, going on awkward dates, and how disgusting she found her own body. This all culminated with 2017's Leather special on Netflix, which was an unmitigated disaster, rehashing the same tired material she'd been using for years, horribly delivered with no sense of timing or enthusiasm, and getting brutal reviews from audiences and critics.
Blacking out, blacked out, blackout. Pussy, my pussy, pussy, blacked out. Pussy.
a lot of things are about female body parts. I can see how people would kind of get sick of, after a while, hearing the same jokes. If the whole point of your job is to be a comedian and people hear your jokes and they're a fan of you, they want to come back for more, not to hear the same thing, but to laugh again. So you have to come up with new material. That's the whole point. I mean, even with like a artist, you come out with a song, people really like it, they'll buy your album, and they'll even pay to hear the same music live. But after a while, it's like, okay, we want to hear something new because we like you, because we're your fans. So it's not even trashing on her. I mean, if she was popular at one point, clearly it was for a reason. But you do have to change it up. Maybe start making up the dates. I mean, most of these bits are probably made up by a lot of comedians anyways. Like, no, that probably didn't actually happen to you. But you have to have maybe more variety for people to not get bored and fed up, especially whenever you're getting bigger and bigger. I mean, this was your Netflix special. It should be your like best show yet. But everyone watched it and assumed and felt that it was just something that they've seen again. I mean, this alone was only clipped, it looked like, from this one special, and she already said it so many times.
The complaints and backlash against her were mounting, but weirdly, for someone who made a career out of self-deprecating humour, Amy turned out to be surprisingly thin-skinned when it came to criticism directed at her. You might think this would have been a good opportunity to reflect on her creative choices and maybe change course a little, but nope, her ego just wouldn't allow for it. Her standard response was to dismiss her critics as haters, misogynists and right-wing chuds who just couldn't handle her political views, instead of acknowledging that maybe her act was becoming kind of stale and predictable. She was also remarkably tetchy about the body she'd spent so long making fun of. After spending years advocating for more plus-sized women in media, Glamour magazine rewarded her by including her in their Chic at Any Size article, which caused her to get all pissy at the implication she was overweight. I mean, no offense, but have you ever looked in a mirror?
This is a little bit more of a trap, because if you have, theoretically, always made fun of your own body and your own jokes, then unfortunately it's kind of opening up this door for people to think that it's okay. It isn't okay for people to take it super far where they're saying things that aren't funny and they try to act like it is a joke. But of course, as a comedian, I would think that there's two sides. The other side is, hey, how much have we made people think that it is okay because you're clearly comfortable. Like, oh, I'm so confident and comfortable, I can make fun of my own body. It's going to make people who don't even have ill intentions think that it's okay to say, oh, well, Amy knows that she's blank, overweight, or blank, 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 because she says it all the time. So now it's giving people the wrong impression about how comfortable you are with yourself. Because you've used yourself as a joke.
You've also got to appreciate the irony there. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being plus-sized. In fact, it should be celebrated. But don't ever call me that. It all just painted the impression of a prickly, arrogant, egotistical celebrity who was far removed from her self-deprecating comedy persona. Worse was soon to come though, when it was revealed that a lot of the jokes from her comedy routines seemed to have been plagiarized from other comedians like Tammy Pescatelli, Kathleen Madigan, Wendy Liebman and Patrice O'Neill, amongst others. Before you could say talentless hack, YouTube was awash with compilation videos showing Amy's jokes and comedy skits and the material they seem to have been, inspired by. This is one of the—
Okay, well, it looks like we finally reached it. I mean, there was obviously the lead up to it, but yeah, this feels very fair to criticize. I mean, someone's coming out with their own jokes. Maybe they didn't get as big. Maybe it's just been a really long time, so people don't really remember the jokes. And if it's scene by scene, like line by line, kind of ripped off, then yeah, that would be a problem, especially in the comedy world, because all that you have is your material. So if you're ripping off your material, then you're not a comedian. You took that joke. Anyone can just repeat a joke, practice a little bit of your delivery. I could be a comedian. So the whole point is being clever on your own and writing your own stuff. You're a comedian. I mean, people don't even love the idea that artists will have ghostwriters, or I should say rappers, because a lot of that is appreciated for your lyricism. So if you're not coming up with your own lyrics, then sometimes there's people who are like, yeah, but they're not even in the same category because they don't write their own music. Like, it didn't come from the heart, like they didn't say it themselves. You're kind of just a singer at that point because, you know, you could have just bought that song. Which, again, not completely insulting anyone for just being a singer, but sometimes ghostwriting is a little bit looked at as more harsh in the rap world because people are looked at as a little bit more than that. It's also a lyricist, so if you're not writing your own lyrics, then, especially since a lot of rap seems very personal, it's like, oh, okay, but you didn't write that, so there's a little bit of a problem. But with this, it's not only did you not write it, but you took it specifically from somebody else who came up with it who's in the same field as you, so you're stealing credit.
This is one of the big no-nos in the comedy world. You never steal other people's stuff, and if you happen to, even by accident, you absolutely have to come clean and apologise. Once again though, Amy's response was just to deny everything and dismiss her critics as sexists and losers. It hadn't really worked before, and with the mountain of evidence piling up against her, it definitely wasn't working now. Public opinion was shifting rapidly. The magazine articles that used to fawn over her were now openly critical of her career and questioning her decline in popularity. All wasn't well on the movie front either. Her next big project, I Feel Pretty, about a fat woman who gets brain damage and is convinced she's now slim and attractive, just go with it, was supposed to be a feel-good comeback that played to her self-deprecating humour, but instead provoked a storm of backlash with the unintended implication that women can only feel confident through self-delusion. The movie was absolutely lambasted.
Irony? Women can only feel good about themselves through a brain injury and self-delusion. Excellent. Hard miss. Almost feel bad if you're missing that hard when the whole point was supposed to be just like fun, feel good, and maybe even have the opposite point, which is, hey, it doesn't matter what you look like, I feel pretty. Anyone can feel pretty. But in the way that you demonstrated the story is she would only feel that way as if she got brain damage, and that's the only reason why she has confidence is because she doesn't actually know how heavy she is. Which, I thought you weren't even heavy. So yeah, I could see how a lot of this could be picked apart. But I don't like talking about someone's looks so much. It unfortunately brings in negative attention whenever you do a lot of stuff based off of your looks, like movies called I Feel Pretty, or something that's called Trainwreck, where you probably have some things in there talking about how you feel sloppy or blackout drunk, and then a lot of that's in your comedy talking about, did he say smells?
The movie was absolutely lambasted by critics and audiences alike, and further damaged her comedy credentials. More and more she was beginning to look out of touch and, well, just not that funny anymore. Then there was the stuff that just made her look like a generally shit human being, like willingly taking photos with fans on the street only to bitch about it later on social media to make herself seem like a victim of harassment, or openly bragging about sleeping with a guy who was so blackout drunk that he didn't even know what was happening to him. Flip the genders for a second there and just imagine how that must look. The cumulative effect of all these high-profile setbacks and negative publicity was a career downturn that makes Brie Larson's look like a controlled landing. She was still bagging the occasional movie role, but usually as a supporting actor in low-budget slop that nobody cared about.
Low-budget slop. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. So I imagine him just having all of those clips of those screaming women in his phone saved. Or on his PC. Clearly, if it's clipped together, it's just one clip. But it is a little funny thinking about who was the original person who was like, wow, she's screaming and angry. Let me see this one. It's a good one. It's just funny. It's like, ooh, this one's good. She's so angry. Like, saving the clips. They go together nicely. It's like a thing. Also kind of icky, bragging about being with anyone who's super blackout wasted, especially if you're not on their same level. That makes it even worse because you're so much more coherent or conscious than them, enough to even remember details like, wow, look how blackout drunk this person is. Okay, I think things might need to be stopped there. With that mentality and the mentality that men must always want it, comes a very uncomfortable open door to, oh, it's okay when women do it to men because no, do not open that door. It's actually always wrong, regardless of gender.
The glory days of Trainwreck were long behind her and she wasn't a bankable star anymore. She was still making the occasional TV show and comedy special, but the fire and momentum was long gone, the prestige of her public persona tarnished beyond repair. She'd gone from one of the leading voices in female comedy to a virtual pariah, disliked by audiences, distrusted by her peers and discredited by movie studios. Amy Schumer is the perfect example of a celebrity who can dish it out but can't take it. A woman who founded her career on pushing boundaries but couldn't handle it when they started to push back. She was always happy to make jokes about everything and everyone around her, but in the end, the biggest joke of all was on her. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah, the only thing I'll comment on again further is, if you're a comedian, stealing jokes is wrong. Kind of probably obvious. No, you're not the only person with that idea, but if you are directly ripping off a joke, hoping that it just wouldn't be obvious because you're bigger than this comedian, that's especially icky. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I hope that she's happy and everything works out for her. But also kind of hope that comedy as a whole for women can kind of change in a different direction, because the idea that women only know how to joke about their female parts or like the really bad dates that they've had because they must sleep around all the time is kind of off-putting. I mean, I think that there's so many comedians that are so funny, but even I realize that most of the ones I find funny are men. Make sure you like and subscribe, and if you haven't already, make sure you check out Critical Drinker's channel, because that's where I got the video from. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you on one of my live streams on my other YouTube channel. I'll see you all next time.